It all started with signs too small to notice. At first, I didn't realize anything. The late arrivals home, constantly checking her phone, sudden weekend plans with friends. I thought these were normal things. Everyone gets busy with work and goes through stress, so I calmed myself. But when the oddities in her behavior began to increase, a sense of unease crept inside me. One evening, while my wife had left her phone charging, a message caught my attention. On the screen was a message from someone named Mark. It was just one sentence. "I can't wait to see you this weekend." The moment I saw that message, my mind froze. My heart started pounding like crazy. My wife was in the next room and I stood there with her phone, wondering what to do. I had a feeling something was wrong, but I didn't know exactly what. In the following days, that message echoed in my mind. I wanted to uncover everything, but at the same time, I didn't have the courage. What if it wasn't what I thought? As time passed, my suspicions grew. My wife's behavior became more and more strange. She no longer parted from her phone, came home late, and spent weekends out. One day I left work early and came home. When I walked in, there was silence in the house. Normally, my wife would be home at that time, but she was nowhere to be found. I noticed she had left her phone on the kitchen table. I picked it up and started looking through her messages. The inbox was completely cleared, but something caught my eye. The emails were left open. I looked at the inbox and saw several emails from Mark. That's when everything became clear. The fact that my wife was cheating on me wasn't just a brief affair. It was a relationship that had been going on for months. As I read through the emails, a deep emptiness formed inside me. All the ways she had deceived me, the lies she had told, the times I told her I missed her when she was supposedly on a business trip, but was actually in another man's arms. All the details were right there. Meetings with Mark, secret plans. Everything was laid out before me. At that moment, my eyes filled with tears, but I also made a decision. I would confront my wife and tell her everything I knew. That evening, when she came home, I acted as if nothing had happened. I cooked dinner, played with the kids, and we watched TV. But inside, a storm was raging. I had to keep it hidden until the time was right. Maybe she looked into my eyes and thought everything was normal. But I could clearly see the fake smile behind her mask now. A few days passed like this. She continued her routine while I prepared the divorce papers. But before handing them to her, I wanted to confront that man. I needed to know who he was, what kind of person he was. To understand the depth of my wife's betrayal, I had to talk to him. One morning after my wife left for work, I got into my car and drove toward Mark's house. I had done some research about him. I knew his workplace, his house, all the details. I parked in front of his house. Before knocking on the door, I took a deep breath. I held all the anger inside me and knocked on the door. The man who answered looked at me in surprise. Our eyes met for a few seconds, then I began to speak. "We need to talk. I know about your relationship with my wife," I said. The man's face turned pale and his eyes dropped to the floor. "I didn't know it would come to this," he said quietly. That was the moment everything was confessed. He began to tell me about the times he met with my wife, the moments they spent together, and the lies they had told me. That's when I fully grasped how deep it went. When I left that house, I felt a sense of relief. Everything was out in the open. The lies were over. Now, all I had to do was confront my wife. When I returned home, my wife hadn't come back from work yet. I placed the divorce papers on the table and sat down to wait. I tried to imagine her reaction when she came home and saw those papers. It didn't take long. When my wife walked through the door, her eyes froze on the papers. Without saying a word, she approached the table and picked up the papers. "What's this?" she asked, her voice filled with both surprise and fear. "Divorce papers," I said. "I know everything. I know about your relationship with Mark. This marriage no longer has any meaning." A look of utter shock appeared on her face. Her eyes filled with tears, but she said nothing. Slowly, she sank to the floor and began to sob. Seeing her like that pained me, but that pain was nothing compared to the deep agony of being betrayed. I approached her and said quietly, "This relationship is over. I don't want you in my life anymore." She tried to reach out to me, but I stepped back. She was crying and begging, asking for another chance. Please, she said, I made a mistake. We can save this marriage. Please give me another chance for the sake of our children. But I was firm. I don't trust you anymore, I said. I can't forgive you. This marriage is over. That night, for the last time, we stayed under the same roof. While she went to the children's room to hold them, I sat in the living room, holding the divorce papers. I couldn't believe all this was real. My wife, the woman I had been with for years, had been deceiving me all along. All the good memories we had shared now felt like lies. By morning, she had packed her bags and left the house. The divorce process was incredibly difficult. Telling our children the truth was the most painful part. While they thought everything was fine, they were actually witnessing their family falling apart. I didn't know how to explain it to them, but I knew I had to be honest. One evening, I sat them down and said, "Your mother and I are getting a divorce." The shock and sadness I saw in their eyes broke me apart, but I had no other choice. I told them it wasn't our fault, that sometimes parents can't get along. They tried to understand, but I could feel their hearts breaking. Over time, the divorce was finalized. My wife moved in with her family and started seeing the children on weekends. I, on the other hand, tried to pick up the pieces of my old life. My friends and family tried to support me, but nothing could ease the pain I felt. Everything we once had together was now just a memory, and those memories had faded under the shadow of betrayal. During this time, I took steps to start a new chapter in my life. I began spending more time with my children, focusing on my work, and slowly started rebuilding myself. But no matter how much I tried to move forward, the wound inside me remained. I had lost trust in the woman who had cheated on me and lied to me. My faith in life had been shaken, but over time, I worked to overcome it. In the months following the divorce, I became more attentive to my children. It was my duty to ensure they came out of this with as little harm as possible. I was always open with them, tried to understand their feelings, and did everything I could to help them adjust to this new situation. During this period, I realized I needed to do something for myself too. I started picking up new hobbies. I exercised, read more books, and focused on personal projects outside of work. As for my wife, she continued her life in another city. She would come and go from time to pick up the children, but our relationship had completely ended. The anger and resentment I once felt toward her gradually faded. I realized I didn't need to forgive her, but I did need to forgive myself in order to move on with my life. I learned that I shouldn't feel guilty for being betrayed. This was the most important lesson I learned. I had to be kinder to myself. As the years passed, this experience made me a stronger and more determined person. I learned to put the past behind me and focus on the future. Everything I went through during this process showed me that life doesn't always go as planned, but that can be an opportunity in itself. Looking back now, I see that all the hardships I endured only made me stronger. Though I lived through the deep pain of betrayal, I now lead a happier and more peaceful life. My children have grown, and I have rebuilt my life. Time heals all wounds, as they say, and it really does. The pain of betrayal has faded, replaced by a stronger version of myself. Now, when I look back, I know that everything I went through made me who I am today. The betrayal didn't break me, it rebuilt me.